When was the first time you did something to truly take control of your life, to change its course for the better, to face in the direction of your wildest dreams? I'm a little shy to admit that now I'm in my early 30s, I only really did this properly in the last couple of years. While I've always had a clear idea about what my dream in life was, I was always waiting for something to happen, something to feel right, an excuse, permission. I wanted someone to choose me, to discover me. But after a couple of difficult decades, I finally understood that I had to choose myself. And it wasn't in my calling to wait to be discovered, but to realise I am already deeply and infinitely known. Perhaps that sounds a little metaphysical for this early in what I hope will serve as a mini documentary, but as I tell you more about my journey as a musician, it should start to make a little more sense. My name is Carol. That's Caryl. I'm a singer, songwriter, musician and producer from the UK. When I'm making music, I go by Lucid Letters, and that name is a recent development. In 2019, I decided to take an entire year off from releasing music. I wasn't satisfied with the work I was doing and the way I was promoting myself, that is, not very much. I needed to find my focus again. I quickly came to realise the thing that makes me feel most alive in music is arranging and producing a song from scratch, taking the melodies playing in my head and bringing them out into reality. But the problem was, I'd spent a long time trying the whole Guitar Girl thing, and I'd posted a lot of acoustic versions of my songs. But all that did was leave me feeling frustrated because I knew there was so much more I wanted to show the people who were watching me. I came to discover that the work I wanted to do required a whole new approach. And a part of that change in approach meant I no longer wanted to be known by my real name. I needed a new name that could sound like a collective, a band, or an individual of any gender, something that was just a little mysterious but also somehow grounded in the ordinary. While I was taking my year off, I began writing letters to musicians I admired, many of which I had met online, none that I had met for real. I realised that this DIY community aspect was something I wanted to be reflected in my new artist name, so naturally letters became part of it. But letters what? Or what plus letters? Since being a teenager, I've been able to lucid dream. I've always dreamed vividly, and the only times I've stopped being able to remember my dreams were when I was under a great deal of mental stress. Unfortunately, I've had a few times in my life when that stress was enough to take that vivid dreaming away from me. Since the age of 17, I've struggled on and off with depression, eventually receiving a diagnosis of bipolar in adulthood after a couple of stints in psychiatric wards. One way to describe someone who's making sense is lucid. And now that my crazy is under control again, I'm happy to be able to describe myself as such. Lucid Letters. Dreamer of dreams, writer of encouragements, maker of music. I was ready to go for it. And go for it I did. In 2020, I started off the year by taking part in the Complete Music Production course with Andrew Huang, hosted on monthly.com. I did some DIY photo shoots at home, made some artwork, revamped my social media, launched a new website, and finally released music to major online stores and streaming services. I worked on collaborations, made videos, did my first live stream, and my second and my third, covered some songs, and I even remixed an otter. You could say I'm pretty pleased with how my first year of being Lucid Letters has gone, but it didn't take me too long before I got that itch to start again on something new, something bigger, more challenging. Last year I shared 20 new pieces of music with the world, but this year I want to go on better and produce 20 new videos. Not like I had before where I set up my camera and just played or talked, but fully produced music videos, behind the scenes footage, visually striking lyric videos, and whatever else it feels good to make that I can be proud of. I want to share what inspires me, the cool things I'm learning, and the amazing people I've been privileged to work with. I want to show you through my songs the places I've been, and the places I can't wait to finally reach, the things I've always dreamed of doing. The incredible thing about music is its amazing capacity to work as a catalyst for human connection. That's a big deal for me. My main goal right now is to become a great producer and hone that skill of bringing the songs in my heart out into the world, into your ears, and maybe into your heart too. Are you suitably inspired? Does this sound like something you'd like to be a part of? Maybe you want to follow along to see if I can actually pull it off. 20 videos in 2021. If you think that's something you'd be interested in, please subscribe. And since the upload schedule is probably going to be quite irregular, I recommend clicking the notification bell so you can find out immediately when I've actually posted. See you in the next video in 2 weeks' time.